Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Some people talk in circles. Our next guest, she makes fuzzy clear and does it in a record time with a single conversation. She is an author, speaker, educator, and facilitator of those delicious aha light bulb moments that turn female entrepreneurs from invisible to unforgettable in just 3 weeks. She's lectured at Wharton, been featured in national publications, and her first book was endorsed by Seth Godin. And with her second book on the way, hold on, because she's about to set the entrepreneurial world on fire again. Buckle up, because light bulb moments are coming your way. Please help me welcome the amazing Orly Zeewy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Angel. It's a pleasure being here. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my God, you're so much fun. We just talked a little bit, and I just cannot stop laughing. So I expect everybody just to laugh the whole entire time. All right, I need to hear what started this entrepreneurial journey, what sparked the interest to like say, "Oh, I'm not going to a 9 to 5."
Well, I would say it started when I was 7 years old. I come from generations of entrepreneurs. My father was an entrepreneur, and he struggled a lot building a business, and that had a lasting impact on me. And I remember being a young girl and thinking, wow, this is really, it really has a big impact on the family, you know? And so his struggles actually led me to write my first book, Ready to Launch a Brand, the Lean Marketing Guide for Startups. And by the way, the best and the most wonderful endorsement I got was from my dad, who said he wished that he'd had my book when he started his business.
Oh, that is so sweet. That is amazing.
It is. It
What did
is.
your dad do? What did your dad
He
do?
was an inventor, you know, and the thing is, I don't know if you know, I've read a lot about this because there's a big difference between an entrepreneur and an inventor. And inventors, you know, they invent things because they're really passionate about changing the world, doing something. And entrepreneurs are too. But what entrepreneurs do that inventors don't do is they learn how they build a system to sell their whatever the thing is. But my father actually has 17 patents. Brilliant man and a less than brilliant business person. But
Well, because
incredible inventor. And in fact, he invented a machine that actually could measure the temperature of molten steel.
oh
And
my
it was
word.
bought by Lucan Steel out here in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, he had a lot of inventions. Yeah, so he kind of sparked that in me. And actually, both my brother and I are entrepreneurs. He's had his own law firm for decades. I have always had my own business. You know, I started out. I had a design and marketing communications firm for 14 years, and I've now had my consulting practice, my brand strategy consulting practice, since 2000.
Wow. Brand consulting, that is amazing.
Mhm.
Everybody needs assistance in that era, no matter
They
what
do.
they do. Yeah, even if they're a brand consultant, they need to go to somebody like you.
Well, you know what they say, you can't read the label inside the jar. So you need someone you need someone to tell you what it looks like on the outside because you can't see it. So
No.
yeah, I've had to get my own support for my website because I even though I could design it, I could create it, but why would I do that when there are brilliant people who can do it much better than I can?
And probably faster.
Way faster. Yeah, way. When I hear people say, "Well, have we been working on our website for a year?" I'm like, "Okay, this that's a red flag right there. It shouldn't take you more than 6 weeks if you've got the right people working on it, you know?" So,
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I'm like, I could do that in a weekend.
Well, now we have all these amazing tools, of course.
Yeah, we do. We do. All right. If you were to go back in time and give your 18-year-old self some knowledge and information, what would you give it? What kind of light bulb moment would you give her?
Yeah, I actually thought a little bit about this. So the main thing I would do is I would say worry less about being good enough and focus more on sharing your gifts with the world. And the and what I would quote Marianne Williamson here because she really sums this up brilliantly. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. It's this fear of our own greatness, of being brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. That's what's holding us back from living fulfilling lives and contributing to the world."
Oh
Yeah,
my God, I got goosebumps on that.
I know, I love this. I actually quote her in my current book. It's in the beginning, yeah, because it is true, especially women. We have such a hard time embracing our greatness, our zone of genius, and we get so stuck in this, like, well, but I don't know this. I haven't been doing this long enough. I don't have the right whatever. And these are all things that really don't matter. Um, the thing that really matters is focusing on the big picture. What is it that you can share with the world? You know?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, well, that's of course, perfect is the enemy of good. I don't know who said that, but I love that. I love that quote as well.
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, Angel, so how perfect was your first magazine? I'm like, oh no.
That's the wrong question. It's not about being perfect. How effective was it? How many people did it reach? What was the impact? What kinds of responses did like those are the things I want to hear. Not, we get so focused on the process being a certain way, and really it's all about the impact.
It's the impact. What impact is that going to bring you, your business, the people
Exactly.
you serve?
Because otherwise, why are you doing this?
Right. Yep. Oh my God. I feel like you've answered my next question. It's all about like what strategies have you used to grow your business? And I feel it's one of them. It's not being perfect sometimes. Is
Right.
there another one?
Well, the people talk a lot about niching down, and I would say, there was a time when I was trying to, work with not just entrepreneurs, but nonprofits and family-owned businesses. And I made a decision about 10 years ago, I would say, to focus on entrepreneurs. And again, because it's in my DNA and it's my passion, because it is both personal and professional, right? Because it's not just about, like, for me, when I help an entrepreneur become more successful, a woman entrepreneur charge more money because she finally understands the value and her worth. I think not just of her, but also her family. And I think about other little girls out there who are being impacted by what I do. So it's very personal for me. I would say that focusing on the thing that I'm actually passionate about and the thing that I do better than other people. Kind of my gift is I make fuzzy clear. That is truly my gift. I have this ability to cut through all the noise, all the confusion. And, you give me a page of stuff and I will literally pull out the one sentence that sums up exactly what you wanted to say. That's my
Wow.
gift.
You
And
definitely could have been a lawyer.
yeah, well, that was what people said I should be because, when you're smart in that time, they said, oh, become a lawyer, and sometimes I wish I'd done that. I would have made a lot more money. But I think, this idea about two things come to mind. One is, who I want to work with and what is it that I wanted to help them do. And the clarity piece, what I have learned is that because we are so overwhelmed by thousands of daily messages, I mean, it's only going to get worse. Like there are a billion people on monthly users on the LinkedIn platform, a billion people. 4 years ago, there were less than 400,000. I mean, it's insanity, right? YouTube has 1.5 billion. I think Facebook has 3.1 billion. I mean, the numbers are just so large and we're constantly creating more and more content. And the only way that we can make any sense of this is you got to cut through all that and just give me something that I can understand. So when I say I make fuzzy clear, if that does not resonate with you, in a way, that's such a gift, because I think, well, if that doesn't resonate, then anything I say from this point forward is not going to resonate either. Because what you really want is for someone to be intrigued by something that you say. And the mistake that so many people make is they try to tell you all about what and how they do their business. And I'm here to tell you, no one cares about that. They care about the why. Why do people work with you? What is the transformation that they get as a result from working with you? What is your why? What's your value proposition? What's the thing that differentiates you? Because otherwise, how do I differentiate you from everyone else who's doing something similar? You're not the only one, right?
Yeah.
But I, in some ways, I feel very lucky because, my initials are Oz, the Wizard of Oz, right? So I know, which is completely, it took me a long time to realize, like, oh yeah, my initials are Oz. And my first name means my light, and I am a facilitator of lightbulb moments. So it all kind of, and you got to find your own space, like whatever that version is for you, that's what people are going to remember.
Okay, so I love what you're saying for the simple reason that so many people try to complicate it. I love the fact that you're so simple, you make fuzzy clear, and what that does is I always imagine people have that sign on them that says, "What's in it for me?"
Absolutely. Help me
And
understand, because if I don't understand, first of all, even if it's not for me, if I understand what's in it for your clients, I probably know somebody who can use you. But unless you help me get to that, by the way, in about 5 or 6 seconds, you've lost me and I move on, because again, we're being overwhelmed by thousands, tens of thousands of daily messages. And I like to say that, start with this question: is your brand hiding in plain sight?
ooh, that one's very true because a lot of people stay
Yeah.
hidden and they don't realize it. And so one of my things I teach is that do you have Beyonce level skills, but hiding in a janitor broom closet, having
Yes.
your own concert that you don't even have the own invitation for?
If no one can hear you, they can't
Mhm.
buy you. They can't, if they can't find you, they can't hear you. They can't buy you. They can't refer you. And the referral piece is something I talk a lot about that in my first book, because we think about referrals as being the best kind of marketing, but referrals are only as good as the people who are referring you. And if they don't understand what you do, that limits their ability to refer you, and also to refer you to your ideal clients. Because let's face it, everyone is not your client.
No, they're not.
I know people
Definitely.
think they are, especially startups. It's like, no, everyone's not your client. Trust me on this.
And you don't want them all.
You really don't. That's why, but this is the work that I do, like really help you get clear, not just what your superpower is, but who is that person who actually needs it, who's looking for you and doesn't even know you exist. Help me find you because I actually need you, right? So
Yeah.
go with that, kind of go with that as that's your focus should be on really getting clear. And it's hard to do, like I said earlier, it's hard to read the label from inside the jar.
I love when I have entrepreneurs who work with entrepreneurs. It just helps so much. And
Yeah.
and this next question is all about myths that people have
Oh,
for entrepreneurs. What is one myth that you would love to see women kick to the curb?
oh my God. Yeah. Well, since I'm writing this book, which is all about female entrepreneurs, I've heard a lot about this. So I would say the number one thing: stop thinking that you need advanced degrees, multiple certifications, 20 to plus years of experience before you can hang out your shingle, before you consider yourself an expert. I mean, women have a really hard time just saying, okay, I'm ready. They spend a lot of time getting ready to be ready. And what I am here to tell you is you're ready now. It won't be perfect, But do you really need 3 different certifications? Do you really need to be talk to so many women who have spent thousands of dollars on all these programs? And I said, well, what did you get from those? Well, not really much of anything. Okay, so what was the, just to be able to say that I'm certified in this, that, or the other, but think of it more in terms of how is this going to help my clients? Because ultimately, your job is to provide a service that helps your clients be more successful in whatever way that looks like in your industry.
Definitely. You have hit the nail on the head. That I'm thinking of the female entrepreneur who has the color coded date book.
Oh,
Now, please don't forget me, guys, if you're one of them. I've been one of them. I'm a recovering, color coder. So, but sitting there and actually spending a whole day or a whole weekend color coding my life and organizing it and getting ready to get ready to get
get
ready to
ready
get
to
ready.
get ready. Nike's tagline, just do it. That should be every woman's entrepreneur mantra. Just do it.
Just
And you
do
will
it.
learn it as you go along. You have to trust. See, women don't trust themselves that they have, and I've heard this from a lot of the women I interviewed, that everything you need, you already have inside of you. You already know it. And if you don't know it, and it's a superpower that I was going to mention later, but you have a network. Every woman I know has an amazing network. Tap into that network, right? You don't need to have all the answers from the word go, or you will never launch.
Collaborate, OPP, other people's people.
And other people's money, up OPMs, that's another one. That's what I learned when I got my MBA. That's the number one thing I learned. OPMs, other people's money.
That is so cool. All right. Let's talk about how do you balance the chaos of life? Because you mentioned earlier, oh my God, all the messages and everything. In
Yeah.
today's society, I remember having our dial up phone. That was so easy. Now we have, now we have, yeah, now what we have is the cell phone with probably 4 or 5 apps, ways people connect with us, probably about 5 to 10 emails, how people can connect with us. I mean, it's just a lot of noise. So, how does people balance that chaos of constantly either being on their phone, not spending time with their family, and so on? Do you have any suggestions?
I can only speak from my own experience. I would never be so what's the word, full of myself, I guess, to think that I could tell other people how to live their life. But I will tell you that for me, my kids always came first. And so I basically created, for me, it's like weekends are sacred. Now that my kids, of course, are grown, they're adults. I still don't work on Saturdays because that's my day off, but I do work on Sundays. And I don't book client call. I don't book work calls on Mondays and Fridays are my days to either work on my book or do the back end stuff of my business. So some of that is prioritizing, like what's important to you. For some people, like my day doesn't start till 10 a.m. normally because I have, I exercise, I have my meditation, I do, whatever works for you, right? And also because I grew up in Europe, I have a real breakfast. Like I don't sit at my desk with a cup of coffee. I actually make a meal 3 times a day, like an actual meal, because that's important to me. But I would say that, raising children, and I was a single parent, so raising children, what I will tell you, the thing that I feel like I really, really showed, not by speaking about it, but by actually doing it, which was they were the priority and that things were not perfect and days, there were going to be really bad days. And our mantra in my house was today was hard, tomorrow's another day. We'll do better, right? It's always tomorrow's another day. It's like Gone with the Wind, Tara, tomorrow's another day. I really feel like showing that to my children, that mom could make mistakes, that things were not always perfect. The issue is not, and I feel like we try to, because we see these like perfect airbrush lives on on Facebook and Twitter and Etsy and wherever else, And the truth is, that's not life. Life doesn't look like that. If you have 3 children under the age of 5, trust me when I tell you, your kitchen will never look like this. Okay? Ever. Like maybe for the 3 seconds it took to take the picture. So, to show my children that you can make mistakes, recover, move on. Tomorrow's another day. We do better. We just do as well. I always think of Maya Angelou, who said, when you know better, you do better. That's it. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, and being able to show my children that mom is human and I make mistakes, which they do remind me of now that they're adults. Remember when? Yes, the one time I got upset with my children because, of course I never hit them or, we always, but the one time mom had to have a timeout and, so, and because for me, the goal is to forgive yourself, learn from your mistakes and move forward.
Those are such wise wisdom words for everybody because, you have to let me know you're coming to my house. Otherwise, it's not going to be perfect by no means. As long as you don't mind unperfect, we're good.
Yeah. I think, I have to say, I think people who focus on perfect, and this is, you're just getting my take on this, but I don't think that's real life. Real life is messy. Real life is kitchen floors that are not clean and clothes maybe out of the hamper or what. I'm not talking about hoarding level, right? I'm just talking about, that's a whole other conversation, but basically, right? I mean, obviously, but just to show that like a human being lives here. Every once in a while there will be dishes in the sink. I remember actually saying this to my children. I said, well, there are dishes in the sink because I chose to spend time with you right now instead of washing the dishes. Would you prefer that I go wash the dishes? I really thought about that because they grow up so quickly, and my kids now are adults, and I've never regretted not washing dishes or vacuuming the house instead of spending the time with them.
That
So
is, yeah.
you have to figure out what your priorities are, and everyone's priorities are different.
Everybody's life's different. I mean,
Exactly. And there's no right or wrong. I'm not sitting here judging if this is listen, if you are one of these people that needs to have the kitchen spotless before you go to bed, no judgment. That's great. I wish I could have done that too. But when you're raising 2 kids on your own, it's really hard to be able to do that too.
it really is. It really is. And I mean, you have to understand you shouldn't have judgment on the fact that, I mean, I'll be honest. Sometimes I like to work till 2 o'clock in the morning. That means I am not getting up at 6.
That's right. That's right.
I am not going to beat myself up.
And that's one of the beauties of being your own boss. Exactly.
All right. Let's talk messy and on the edge of giving up. I'm sorry, we've all been there. If you haven't been there, well, get ready, buckle up.
Yeah, that's the right metaphor. Buckle up, baby. Betty Davis, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy night. All About Eve. One of the all-time great movies. Yes.
Yes.
You have to say it with her smoky voice, which I can't do right now, but
I couldn't do it. Anyway, so
sorry, we digress here.
No, you're perfect. I love that analogy. Let us know what you think. What's their next step? What should they be asking themselves? What they should be doing to get some clarity? If they're on the edge of just like, oh my God, throwing their hands up or saying it's over. Any suggestions?
So, first of all, let me just start by saying entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And it's totally okay if it's not for you. You have to understand it, and this is actually on the back of my book. This is the kind of the whole premise of the book. This is what it's like to be a startup founder. It's like learning to fly the plane while you're building it, booking passengers, marketing the airline, interviewing co-pilots, and serving coffee. That's what it's like. So you have to be a multitasker, and you have to be okay with not, every once in a while you're going to drop one of those plates. And I think that it's hard. I think it's hard to be an entrepreneur for people. We're talking about perfection. If perfection is your goal, I don't think entrepreneurship is for you.
No, definitely not.
It's unpredictable. It's messy. Some days you're like, pulling your hair out. You can't believe how much work you have. And the next minute you've got no work to do. And you have to learn how to organize yourself, because no one else is doing it for you. And there are people who, they like having that structure of every day is the same. They've got a boss. They have things, they know what they need, what they have to hit, right? And I've never been that person. Like, I've always, when I did have a job for a very short period of time, when I worked in corporate, the first thing I did is I talked to everybody to try to figure out how can I make things better here. And it turns out that was not what they wanted. They just wanted me to just be managing the way things were. And entrepreneurs, this is what we do. We solve problems. And I solved what I thought was a really great problem, but it was not appreciated. So needless to say, that job, yeah. But just in my own defense, there were 6 people in that job in 3 years. So clearly they weren't very good at, but, and they will remain nameless because it's not about that. But yeah, I think it's really, you also have to love what you do, believe in it passionately, so that when you hit the road bumps and the roadblocks, instead of stopping everything and just laying down, you say, okay, that didn't work. How about we try this? The art of pivot is really important for entrepreneurs, because you're going to be doing that all the time.
Yeah, because something might not work. I talked to someone about this the other day, and it's like we're always constantly trying something new in their business. And it's because sometimes, probably 9% of the time, they fall flat on their face. Only 1% of the time is the thing that succeeds.
Right. I have a great story for you. Do we have time for it?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
It's actually in my book, Ready Launch Brand, the Lean Marketing Guide for Startups. So I share the story of bubble wrap. Do you know what bubble wrap was originally intended for?
No, but I know my mother-in-law pops it like there's no tomorrow for stress relief.
Now, okay, so keep that image in your mind when I tell you the original purpose. This is just, every time I say it, I just can't even believe it. It was supposed to be wallpaper. Because the Fielding, and I forget the other one's name, was an American and a Swiss inventor, and they came up with this amazing, they literally took 2 pieces of plastic. It had like air between them, and it was the 1950s in the US, and wallpaper was all the rage. And they thought, oh, this is what the world needs, textured wallpaper. So they came up with this great idea, and needless to say, it was met by a resounding no. Like, can you imagine a mom with 3 kids under the age of 7 in a living room covered in bubble wrap? Like, you would lose your mind. But here's the thing. They didn't give up. They didn't say, okay, that's it, we're done. What they did was they looked for a market where this could be useful. And bubble wrap was born. I mean, they went through a couple of different iterations, but ultimately, and now bubble wrap is like Kleenex,
So I'm just thinking of having 3 boys or 2 boys fighting, pushing one another, and then all of a sudden,
I know. It's so addictive. Like, you start popping this stuff. But, I remember laughing so hard. And I found a picture, which is in the book. I found a picture of a living room covered in bubble wrap. And it's like, oh my God. Like, how could you possibly think this was, can you imagine, like, all these interior designers who just looked at this and said, NO, big NO on this one. We're going to, nope, not going to do that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, bubble wrap as wallpaper. Okay, this is funny. But I love how you brought up, and you have the fact that they had to pivot.
Exactly. Yes, because otherwise there would be no bubble wrap. The idea would have died. Maybe someone else might have taken it on eventually. But yeah, I think what's important here, and this is, I think, what really all successful entrepreneurs do, when something doesn't work, they go, I still think I really believe in it. This is why you have to start with actually being passionate about this, right? If you believe in what you're doing, in your why, in your, in kind of your zone of genius, and the thing that really motivates you, there's somebody who wants it. You just have to figure out who that is.
Yeah, so you created it, and like you said, and that's exactly where my brain was going. What you just said is
Yeah.
somebody's going to want it, but who? It might not be who you created it for.
But that doesn't mean you failed. It just means you didn't find the right market for it.
Yeah.
And the world is littered with wonderful companies that went under because they didn't identify their ideal market.
Mm.
And so they spent tons and tons of money and resources, trying to market to people who actually didn't want it, didn't need it, and were never going to buy it. Because let's face it, you can't convince, I think trying to convince someone to buy something, it's already a lose-lose. People want, when people want something, you don't have to convince them. You just have to show them the value of it. That's very different from trying to convince them. Like, I'm not selling toothpaste, and even toothpaste, that's a whole other, that's gotten so crazy now, with like 20, I don't need 20 options. Just give me 2 or 3 at the most. I can't, they keep coming out with these new things. Like, I don't understand the difference between any of them,
You're right.
Funny.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about you. Can you give me a sneak peek into your future and what we need to keep an eye out on for you?
So I recently launched it's a free monthly Clarity Hour Q&A.
Oh.
And so the next one is coming up on August 27th. And basically bring your fuzzy questions and get clear answers. And we'll, where I can talk, I will, I show examples of before and after, before fuzzy and then clear. What does that look like on your LinkedIn, on your website, on your homepage, and in an elevator pitch? And then I open it up to the attendees and answer questions. Then the other thing is, and I'm hoping, my goal was to have a course, a masterclass launched, if not by the fall, then end of year, maybe launch it in early 2026, which is, of course, when my next book, Why Not Me? The Female Guide for Entrepreneurship, will be published then. So assuming that, I'm getting somebody who will, in fact, want to publish it, I already have a business program here in Philadelphia that wants to use the book as their textbook for their Women in Leadership course.
That's amazing. Those are fun things that are coming out.
Yes, they are. Very much so.
On a funner side, it's not even a word, but a funner side. Unexpected. Tell us something about you that not a lot of people know about.
So I do speak other languages, and people usually know about that eventually. But
how many? How many?
3 languages. But I grew up listening to 6 or 7 on a daily basis, so I can pick up languages fairly easily. My parents are European, so that's very common. I know in the United States it's a big deal, but in Europe, because every time you cross a border, you're speaking a different language. So, but the thing that people probably don't know about me and are surprised to hear is that I started out as a fine artist. And one of my watercolors ended up being on display in the front window of a gallery in the Water Tower in Chicago. And an art collector visiting from the Netherlands bought my watercolor.
Oh, that is way cool. I'm sorry.
That was my 15 minutes. I had that check for a long time. It was the Turtle Gallery. I still remember it. Yeah.
That is cool.
Which it's closed now, but yeah, it was very cool. And that somebody from the Netherlands just saw I don't even know how I got it in the front, the window. I honestly don't remember that part of the story, but yeah. I actually
famous watercolor artist. You're a famous watercolor. You still are?
Well, I don't know about that, but yes, I had my moment. And actually, when I was 8, I won an art competition, and I drew an angel, and I won first prize.
Wow, you have so many little stats. I love it. All right, let's talk fun.
Okay.
More fun. Pump up the anthem. Favorite song or songs?
Oh my gosh. Nina Simone, Feeling Good. Love that song. Love that song. Every time it comes on, it like makes me happy. I crank it up. I'm singing with it on the radio. It's like, I love that song. Yeah. I was also thinking, yeah, there are others I could say, but this is really my go-to song.
Okay, guys, I could just see her just screaming that out at the top of her
And it's
lungs.
such a happy song. It's such a great song, so hopeful. Yeah.
All right, books that build you up. Tell me your name of your first book first, and then your second book that's coming out, and on top of that, some of your other favorite books.
So my first book was called Ready Launch Brand, the Lean Marketing Guide for Startups. As you said, it was endorsed by Seth Godin. It was the #1 new business book release on Amazon when it came out. My second book is called Why Not Me, the Female Guide for Entrepreneurship. And that I interviewed 44 women across the country throughout parts of the world. And I've already got a foreword and blurbs from these women. And they're all read. They're all like, when is this coming out? I want to buy this book. So, and it basically combines their stories of their challenges with historical, scientific, and economic data that backs up some of these things. So I've actually created timelines of women in history in the workplace, education, and finance.
Oh, sign me up. I'm ready.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I just got, my the two biggest and the most, well, because I've also been posting on LinkedIn, and I hope people will, I know you'll be posting my LinkedIn URL, but would love for people to connect with me and follow me because I do post weekly about the book. The thing that has gotten the most engagement is anything to do with money, and also the one that I did on the number of women CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Want to guess how many that is?
I have no idea.
So let's start with that. In 1995, there were 0 women CEOs. That wasn't that long ago. There are now less than 10%.
Wow.
I know. Less than 10%. Yep. We got a long way to go, but which is part of why I went down the rabbit hole of history, because I'm looking at the 19th century, like around 1848, which is when a woman, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, wrote the Declaration of Sentiments. And it was all about all the things that women were looking to be equal in, like pay, and of course, they weren't able to vote yet. So that was one, so there was a long list. And from I think this was 1848. And then it took almost 100 years to get the vote. And then another 40 years to get the Equal Pay Act passed. Wow. And in 1963, when it was passed by LBJ, white women were making 63, I don't know, I may be off, it might be 61 or 63 cents for every dollar that a white man was making. Fast forward to 60 years, we have gained 20 cents.
Woohoo! Not that much.
That much, yeah. Which, by the way, over a career, that 16 cents, I think we're at 84 cents now. Or maybe it's 86. I don't know. I've seen different things, 83, 84. That difference over a career comes out to a loss of $400,000.
A lot of money. That's all.
A lot of money left on the table. Exactly. You asked about a book. So on a completely different path here. I don't know if you know the book. It's called In Love, A Memoir of Love and Loss by Amy Bloom.
Yeah.
So this is her second husband, Brian Amici, who was also a writer and a journalist, brilliant man. And when he started to descend into Alzheimer's and was starting to see where it was going, he decided to go to Switzerland and die by assisted suicide. And the book, I know it sounds really sad, and it is, but it's also, to me, it was like, the idea of loving someone to the point where you are willing to help them die a death of dignity instead of watching them literally become a vegetable, which is he knew that was what was going to happen. And they ended up going to Switzerland because there's a, forget the name of the town, but where it's legal and it's a huge process. I mean, and obviously you need a lot of money to be able to do it, which that's kind of a given. But I thought it was just such a beautiful, and it's beautifully written because Amy Bloom is a writer herself. Um, and then on the business side, again, completely different, is the Brand Gap and Zag, which are by Marty Neumeier, and it's all of, and that those two books literally changed the way I thought about how to build a brand and how to work with my clients differently.
Wow. Thank you for those. They're going to love them. All right. So what about quote or quotes? I know you're going to have some. I've already gotten two from you, I think, inside of here.
So this is the one, my mother used to say this all the time, and it's attributed to Julius Caesar, and it's Veni Vidi Vici, which means I came, I saw, I conquered. And she used to say that all the time. And so I've kind of adopted it as my little mantra after she passed. And whenever I say it, you know, I just, and she used it in the most ridiculous places. Like, you know, we would go to yard sales. That was her big thing. And after we would leave, we'd leave with some piece of treasure, some treasure that she found. And she'd say, Veni Vidi Vici. You know?
And what language is that?
Latin.
Latin. Okay.
Yeah. Veni Vidi Vici is Latin. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So we have to make sure we put both in there so they'll know. Hey,
Right.
we educate. They have to be educated when we do this.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
All right. Superpower for just 24 hours, one day. What would it be?
You know, that's a tough one, but I would say being able to read people's minds. And I think the reason, and only for 24 hours, because it would be exhausting to be able to read everyone's, like, can you imagine walking down the street and you'd be able to hear people's thoughts? But I don't know, there's something about that for me that I think it would be so fascinating to hear, like, kind of how other people think. I think it would help me better understand myself, see some maybe, you know, commonalities with other people. And I think it would also help me, not that I'm not kind, but I think it would help me be even more empathic and kinder to others, because everyone, you know, during the pandemic, I read this great quote and it said, everyone is fighting a great battle. Always be kind.
Wow.
I really try to do that, because even when somebody's having, you know, you're getting the worst of that person on their worst day. That does not necessarily mean that's who they are, you know?
All right. So you're walking around and you're feeling all these things, people's things and everything for 24 hours. Okay. How are you going to get out of that? What gets you motivated? What could you do to, like, okay, brush this stuff off?
I would say go to the park, walk around. You know, my favorite seasons are fall and spring, because it's the way everything smells. And then you can see there's this whole, like, sensory experience that happens. In the spring, you see all the trees are budding and you see all these beautiful colors. And in the fall, the leaves are turning red and there's that smell of smoke in the air. And something about, you know, all of the, like, being in nature, surrounded by trees and flowers and just walking and feeling the air. You know, to me, it's like whenever I'm stuck on something, I go outside and I just take a walk and it just completely recharges my batteries.
That's amazing, because that is just like fall and spring are my favorite as well. Matter of fact, it's a joke because I wear a sweater all the time anyway, but I definitely, and I mean, I live in the South. It's 100 and something down here. So when it's September 1st, I'm like, it's fall. I don't care. It's fall to me, and I'm wearing what I want.
My favorite clothing season is definitely the fall, the whole layer thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
And also, you know, I've actually done this. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I actually am a fall in terms of colors. So I never wear pastels. Yeah, never wear pastels. I've never worn pink a day in my life. And so
well, I was a dancer, so I had to wear pink. I totally get it.
Hey, no judgment. I'm just saying, for me, you know, like, it was good to know that, oh, that's why I gravitate towards those colors, because I'm a fall.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. My favorite is always black. I used to cry because my mother wouldn't let me wear black, so I totally get it.
I'm sorry.
Black. So I've done quite a lot of research about color, because of the speaking that I've done, and it always fascinates me. One of the things I look at is what's the prominent color of cars that I see. And if you think about the first, the Model T Ford they only came in black, and black is the color of usually people who are hard workers. And if you think about that time period, there were the factories and people, the whole idea of working, that, just working to live, not, living to work kind of idea, right? And then, I've noticed lately that I see a lot of white cars, and white is kind of it's a hopeful color, rebirth. For a while there, I saw a lot of red cars, that's a scary color on the road. There are actually countries, I believe Brazil is one of them, where it's illegal to drive a red car because they get into more accidents. Has something to do with the way the color either feels like it's closer or further or something. And then, of course, there's something about the people who drive red cars, because red is a very inflammatory color.
What's wrong with us?
There's nothing wrong with you. I'm just saying there's something about red, because it's it's a spicy color. It's like a great color to paint your dining room.
So I have a red Mini Cooper.
I love Mini Coopers. They're so cool.
I did not want a red Mini Cooper. It was the only one on the lot, and it was a great price. So I got it. Now I love it. But you're right. Everybody wants to run into me.
There's something, it just attracts people. There's something about, there's certain colors. And in fact, there's all kinds of studies about, they've actually experimented with colors on, this is another story in England. There's a particular bridge that had a lot of suicides, and they painted it, I believe, like sort of a green, sort of Zen green color, and they reduced the number of suicides. I mean, It's amazing. Yellow is a color that you don't want to paint your kitchen yellow because it actually increases arguments. But yellow is one of those vibrating colors,
It is.
But yeah, people who wear a lot of black, and of course I'm wearing black, are people who tend to be hard workers and like work and like what they're doing, and they enjoy working.
Yeah. So it's my jam. I love it. Now I have to force myself not to wear it.
So I am trying. It's unusual because now normally I've sort of tried to scale back on the black, but it's definitely the uniform of all graphic designers everywhere in the world. So for a long time, I wore a lot of black.
So what is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you? Because you are amazing, and they are going to fall in love with you 100%.
Oh, you are so kind, Angel. Thank you. That's so sweet of you to say that. So zeewybrands.com, that's my website, and you can read all about, what I think about all this fuzzy to clear, and look at, the type of work I do. There's a press page, so you can see where I've spoken and articles, etc. And then my LinkedIn profile, which is just Orly Zeewy. That's the only platform I'm on now. I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't really upped it. I think that's a 2026 conversation. But yes, so LinkedIn is really the best place because it's also where I post things. And then you can also join my email list, which I do have a freebie. I have a client attraction guide that I'll put the link to that. Follow me. If you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn, please follow me, because my goal is to try to get to, right now I'm at about 3,700 followers, and I'm looking to grow it to 5,000 by the time the book comes out. So, probably would be better if it was 15,000, but I've been growing it organically. So these are all people who actually want to follow me. They're not, I didn't buy lists or, but yeah, join my email list and follow me on LinkedIn and check me out on my website.
That's awesome, Orly. So can you leave us with a final mic drop, what you would like to share with female entrepreneurs that maybe we didn't touch on yet?
I think I've already mentioned it, but it bears repeating, which is Your network is your superpower. Don't be afraid to tap into yours.
Wow. That's
Ask for
amazing.
help. They're there. They want to help you, you know?
Oh my God. Is that the thing that most female entrepreneurs have the hardest time doing, asking for help?
They think it's weakness. And really, it's about, first of all, people love to help. It makes them feel you're literally taking something away from someone when you don't give them the opportunity to help you. And of course, eventually you're going to return the favor. But it's a way to also connect more deeply with people. And I'll tell you, yes, every woman I talk to, very hard to ask for help because we have this idea, and I don't know, I'd have to do a deeper psychological kind of study here of why specifically. I mean, I've done some research on brain science, and that's pretty fascinating in itself. That women, female brains are more empathic than male brains. And so we have a tendency to think about others. And so when it comes to us, it just feels uncomfortable because we feel like we should already know the answer, which is, I mean, just hearing me say this out loud, it sounds so crazy. How would you possibly know everything you need to know? And, wisdom is not about knowing everything. Wisdom is about making lots and lots of mistakes and learning from them. That's really all it is.
Yeah. I'm the queen of mistakes.
Me too. I mean, trust me, the reason I'm so good at what I do is because I've made every single mistake. And the whole reason I do it is because I want to try to prevent you from making these costly mistakes that doesn't have to take you 25 years to learn how not to make them.
100%. Orly, thank you for being here. Loved having you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Angel. This was so much fun. It really, and I really appreciate that you made me think about, the song and the books and all this stuff. It was nice to think about all that.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.